to come inside. Glad to come inside.
Okay, we're on. We are live. I like this thing. I'm uninvited. Mama.
Okay, God, I had fun with that stupid thing on the radio. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Just back from Kansas City. I was with Barry Williams, who played Greg Brady on the Brady Bunch. 650 people. Oh, there he is. Yes. 600 and look at him. That picture makes me laugh. If you can see the background, he's at the new theater in Kansas City. I broke the record in Missouri for the longest running show in history. We did a pre-Broadway version of On Golden Pond where I met Henry Fonda. But there's Baby Barry, my boy, and sang the first song at my wedding. These are the days. 650 people a show, 2 shows a day, sold out for 3 months. Tickets are $100. Add that up. Wow. What else? Let's go to another picture. This is fun. I wasn't expecting that, but there you go. I went back to where I started. That is it. That's the station. That's the entire thing. That little cement box was 1450 Coco Radio, and from humble beginnings. And I went back to see the trailer I lived in, and it was all very depressing. And, you know, you're only one phone call away from something great. You're only one phone call away or an email or something, a message from something great happening in your life. Do not despair. Do not be downhearted. And I think about the love of my life at that time, and I've talked about this, and, you know, she got a perforated anus, can't have sex. All kinds of problems. And that's a horrible thing to talk about, but God was looking out for me. And you know, I've had great failure at the things I prayed the most for at the time. I didn't curse God. I didn't get angry, but my father's death from cancer, praying for that sweet girl in college that I just loved who wanted me to quit radio. It was her or radio. And I said, this could really work. And I think about how I just wanted to get to a top market for one day, a top 25 market. Little did I know I would be in the number 1 market in the world, which is Chicago, and have the number 1 show. Kevin Matthews was my arch enemy. God brought us together here last few years, and he was over here a few days ago, and we were just, you know, both from humble beginnings. Portillo's, the hot dog place, which has gotten more and more ghetto and horrific, is now. Oh, Chris Plant gave me a shout out today. I got to tell you, I just pretty much hate everybody on the radio except for Chris Plant. There's a few others. Dan Bongino, I knew it wouldn't replace Rush. I don't trust Ben Shapiro. Remember, I told you that, and I think I've told you numerous times. I don't trust Ben Shapiro. Call it my spidey sense, which, by the way, is never wrong. Okay. Portillo's is now cashless because they've been robbed so much. So there you go, Mayor Lightfoot. Yeah. Had a little guy. I just remember Puppet the Dwarf, who worked on my show. That's what he wanted to be called. They, you know, most prefer to be called Little People. And I just remember him and the urinals. He had so many problems with the urinals, and they really kept him on his toes. So I used to have to help him up. And same thing with Mickey Rooney. When he came to WLS, I had to help him up to the urinal. Bioweapons in Ukraine. How would we feel about that? America has bioweapons in Ukraine. How would we feel if there were Russian weapons on our Alaska border, bioweapons, if we were laundering money there? I wonder how the Russians would feel. But no, we're the good guys. Just keep telling yourself we're the good guys, no matter what the proof says. The Chinese spy balloons, what's the truth? Well, I want to know. And I'll tell you, I'm not a big believer in UFOs. And I've got the number 1 guy who believes in UFOs coming up here, Timothy Alberino. If you ever read his book, it is the best book I've read in a decade, maybe. I read 5 books a week. I know that sounds like bragging. Maybe it is, but I come from real stupidity, Suicide Falls, Missouri, and I have taught myself because of the radio show to read very quickly because I had to read these books so that I could talk to people, and I read quickly and I talk quickly, which is not good when you're in another country. But did you love the train derailments where the politicians are giggling in Ohio about all the people that are dying, and they're giggling? What is this shit about? It reminds me when Breitbart died and his people came in, they were all very giggly because now they had taken control. And what did Breitbart have that would have destroyed Obama and Hillary and Bill? And he said it was unbelievable. My opinion was it involved pedophilia and something satanic. That's my opinion. I have no proof of that, but there you go. Okay. Deja vu. What is deja vu? It's the same shit happening again. You can sense it. China, Cuba, Russia, Venezuela, and now America. I told you I was in Japan on a television show where they call me High Voltage, and they asked me, is America turning communist? I'd say we're already here. I had one friend with an odd conspiracy theory. Yeah, and it was that they're burning down they're controlling the food and burning and destroying, crush, kill, destroy. to get control of all our food so they can inject it with whatever they want. Starsky and Hutch, you may remember I showed a picture. Boy, did I love that show. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. God, was that the greatest, Starsky and Hutch. When he landed on the top of the car, I got in trouble for doing that to my dad's 1978 Mercedes, burgundy colored, jumping on the hood of the car like Starsky did. It was a theme I heard for 10 years in my head. God, what a great show. It's coming back. And I know you're thinking, yes, of course, it must be African-American lesbians. No, but it's going to be girls. We'll see. I'm just hoping that it's very woke and has a very diverse cast. But of course, the Italian and the Swedish guy and Huggy Bear, the black guy, and the black chief and everything. That's not going to be enough today. No, they're going to have some. I hope there's some perversion. I just hope. I hope that they go to story time hour and groom the children. Just to make sure nobody watches it like everything else they bring back. I remind you of my father's Taiwan prophecy, the one and only prophecy that my father had, which was when they take Taiwan and America does nothing, you'll know that America is over. That was a message from God, and I'm telling you, it's on the verge of happening right now. The mind crimes that are going on right now. Are you able to think? Do you feel like everything is topsy-turvy? Nothing makes sense to you? You in the quantum universe now, Ant-Man. Yo, man, you in the quantum universe. Kang for the next 10 movies of Marvel. I read about Kang. I had those comic books. That ain't Kang. That ain't the bad guy. Yo, you in the quantum universe now, yo. Ah, shit. Everything has to be screwed up. Iron Man is now, what's it called? What's the character called now? A 15-year-old African-American girl? Not Tony Stark. The double-fisted drinker, demon in a bottle, my favorite comic book of all time. No, now it's a 15-year-old African-American girl. Don't say anything, or you're just a horrible person. There's space for a 15-year-old African-American girl to be a superhero, I suppose. If she has a suit, it's great. But we've given up Iron Man for that. My favorite comic book character of all time. Why, I wonder? I'm going to make no friends here from anyone. I'm going to make enemies here, including the guy that's putting this together tonight, who just worships at the altar of Trump. And I have a lot of mutual friends with Trump. I like Trump, and Trump has beautiful pictures that he signed in my house of him. I should show them sometime. I had a very dear friend that said to me, Michelle said, you'll have to take that down before I'll come in your house again. I said, well, you'll never come in my house again. Goodbye. I think Trump says you are my hero, Donald Trump. But Trump knew about social media. I talked to him about it. Other people talked to him about it before he was banned. He knew what was going on, and he did nothing. He knew about a lot of these things, and he did nothing. He talked a good game, and he did a lot. And I love the man. I love him. And I know him personally. Went to Duran Duran with him, the Red Carpet Massacre tour. And I like him. Do you understand? I like him. He's a cool guy. If you were to hang out with him, you'd like him. He's a guy. Roger Stone, the same deal. A guy. Not what he's portrayed by the media. No surprise there. Where am I going with this? I don't like Trump's take on Big Pharma. And it's a deal breaker for me. Yes, he's a friend, but if we're talking about the President of the United States, if it's DeSantis who is actually going against Big Pharma, Roger Stone and others say DeSantis is big talk but doesn't do anything. The kids remain masked. Disney, he never really did anything against. It's big talk, but nothing happens. I don't like Trump's cozy talk with Big Pharma, and yet he's still doing it. And we have found out that they are the devil. Really, Big Pharma is the devil. New study reveals that men are my kids are here. Men are supposed to have 21 orgasms a month to stay healthy. Note to Mrs. Mueller, the chosen one. Not my mother, my wife. You sick bastards. We're beating the average. I am the most healthy married man you know. Jesus Revolution. Have you seen the movie Jesus Revolution? Anyone? Ralph, you seen the movie Jesus Revolution? If you have, jump on. Now you just missed your chance. Okay.
I have not seen it. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm gone.
You don't have to jump on. I said if you saw. I hear it's great. I want to go see it. Spielberg is saying that he thinks UFOs could be, and I've thought this. We've all thought this. UFOs are time traveling people. That they're people from the future. That they're coming back to like a vacation. They time travel. They're us in the future traveling back. What do you think? Walmart out of Portland. Too much thieving. Have you seen the way? It's always a group. It's always one group of people though that seems to be the problem. One group. Yeah. What is that? What group is that? That just seems to. Oh, yeah, thieves. They tend to ruin everything, don't they? You guys know what I'm talking about. America violence. It's all over. They don't know what to do. No one seems to have a clue. Maybe more mental health experts. Yeah, no, it's not going to help. What's going to help is more good people with guns. That's it. Everywhere it's been tried, it's worked. When the shitheads know you can fight back, they suddenly stop being such shitheads. What group is that always seems to be? Oh, yeah, muggers, thieves, rapists. You know the group I'm talking about, the muggers and the thieves, that group. Oh, man. Hey, do you know where Napoleon's brother ended up after the Battle of Waterloo? Napoleon's brother spent the rest of his life in New Jersey. Hell or New Jersey? Knoxville, Missouri, or Joliet or hell? What? It's got to be close. Joliet, Illinois, or as I call it, Joylet. Do you know there's a village made entirely by cats in Joliet? Not true. All right. Well, weak men are the problem. Weakness. You see them. You saw Nancy Pelosi's husband saying that he doesn't like masculine men. And I forget who it was. It may have been Rogan or someone else that I don't watch. But they said, go to Arlington Cemetery. Go to Arlington Cemetery. Go talk to our soldiers and say that weak men are the answer. Masculinity is under attack. Feminized, weak men don't give a shit about who their daughters marry and have children with, and it has a ripple effect through generations of your name and your blood. You better take an active role in who. I've got daughters, so I care who they end up with. My parents sat me down and said, this girl you're dating has a severe mental illness in her family, and doggone it if that girl didn't end up with a kid that likes to cut himself and cry a lot. And I thought they were the biggest monsters for saying that. It matters who you combine your blood with. It matters. And weak men will never say that. Weak men will never say anything to their wife, and that's why their wives end up lusting after and sleeping with alpha males, because the betas get stepped on. I got a friend here, I don't want to say who used to be a beta, but I built him up. Didn't I build you? Yeah, there he is. I built him up to be a freaking man. I got her flowers. I hope she likes me. I bought her. I got her gifts. And she, sleeping with everybody else who didn't give her gifts. That's the beta. Look what I got you. Look. Yeah. Screw that noise. Tate. I don't like that guy. Jordan Peterson. I know I'm supposed to love him. Everybody sends me videos of this guy named Tate and Jordan Peterson all the time, and Joe Rogan. Not interested. Sorry. People I'm supposed to like. Kang, you in the quantum universe now, Ant-Man. That may be the best shit on earth. I'll never know. I'm not going to go see that crap. I'm not going to turn on your TV shows. I'm not going to watch your sports where you say an additional national anthem to divide and conquer us. I'm not interested in your shit. Okay? And, yeah. I'm not interested in these weak, woke, bullshit people. But, yeah, assertive men, manly men are not the problem. The problem is weak, woke men that will allow themselves to be led like this. I'm hearing there's a new strain that we may be having hoist upon us. I hope to God that isn't true. And look, this is a show by an adult man for adults. If this is too offensive for you, this may not be the show for you. But I wanted to make my point about Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, this guy Tate, the Muslim guy. Not interested. But you must be. Mancow, you must be. You have to care. And Elon Musk. I will say that 90% of Elon Musk is a great hero to me. But he's developing Neuralink, which I've seen. The quarter-size apparatus that goes in your brain and hooks you to your cell phone. Makes you a cyborg. He tells us that the most dangerous thing is AI, and then he's going to give us AI. Jordan Peterson, Rogan, Tate, Elon. Oh, you just must. You must. You've got to be a follower. You've got to support him. You've got to be a fan. You've got to. And a lot of you feel that way about me with these people. Not interested. Ben Shapiro, another guy I don't give a shit about. Dan Bongino, yelling and boring. Sorry, he bores me. You bore me, you lose me. I'm headed somewhere with this. I'm going to make a point. The January tapes have been released, January 6th. We'll see if that's What I always thought it was. What I always thought it was. What I always knew it was. Oh, come on, says my friend Jack Franks. Yeah. Yeah. I want to make my point, but I want to wait for it for 1 second. Do we have any more pictures, Mr. Nudie? And then we're going to go to our great guest. Okay. Yeah, that's good. So you may remember I was buried there for 3 days. I went on a Friday. I came out on a Sunday night. You can make it big. Make it big. This is also where, the urban types would meet chubby fat girls from the suburbs to have sex. If you couldn't get laid at Excalibur, it said you couldn't get laid. But we did a promotional thing with them. Mark Hoffman ran it. I think they bought it for $2 million. Put it up full screen. I think they bought it for $2 million and sold it for $13 million. Mark Hoffman and his brilliant dad, Freddie, fabulous Freddies and Morettis. And anyway, so I was buried right there in front. You see where it's kind of the spiral right there. I was buried in a coffin. There was no gimmick. Many of you will remember. And my wife came out. She was in college at Michigan University and came out to film me. That's where I met my wife. And that day, the Violent Femmes played. Anyway, it was hell. It was hell. And, what do you do when you have to go to the bathroom? Well, I went to the bathroom. You can imagine what that was like. Okay? Let's go to the next picture. All right? See, I thought the Land O'Lakes girl was beautiful. I thought the chief with the Chiefs when I was a kid on Warpaint was wonderful. Is that the role model? That dude, that's a role model we want? That's a role model. I reject it. I reject it. I scorn it. I scorn it. This is where I stayed in Japan recently. I can't wait to go back. Oh, what lovely people. What lovely people. Look at that. That's the Godzilla Hotel. That's where I stayed, right there in a town called Shinjuku. Is there anything else? Yeah. A lot can happen in 3 days. Leave that up full screen, buddy. Do not pull that down. Leave that up. I can't wait to go to our guest, but he's going to have to wait a minute. I'm sure he won't care. I just want to say this. Heavenly Father, I bind every mind attack against us in the name of Jesus. It seems like we're crazy right now. We're going insane. Pedos dancing for children. The creepiness being taught in our schools. Being taught that our sex and our skin color is evil. Being taught that natural immunity is no such thing. Things you can turn right on red without a ticket. Taught that your whole life and how you get ticket. Just the madness of our world. And God, I just ask that everybody of my kind, of my type, of my ilk, of the Mancow militia of love, that they have freedom from every mind attack. And Satan, I command you to leave these people alone. I declare clarity of thought and wisdom from the Lord above. And I want all of my fans and friends to think God thoughts and have godly dreams. And I thank you, God, for all the angels that are stationed around us right now. They're keeping watch over us. God, station them around my house. Bless every entrance and exit. Bless every opening into our house. For some reason, those things have a meaning. Go back and watch the movie Moses. It's true. Nothing evil is allowed in here. Nothing evil allowed in Mueller Manor. And thank you, God, for for protecting me, for the angels that you have around me and your son. Every negative thought, every blockage, every mind attack, every barricade is torn down. And destroy every one of these enemy strongholds. Expose them. Expose the Pete Buttigieg's and the other creeps of the world. And we thank you, God, for mind renewal. We love you. Yes. And I remind you, you can bring it back. I remind you, folks, that blasphemy is the unforgivable sin. I never said it. Someone said, oh, you did, Mancow. I said, nope, I'll bet you. And they provided a tape. And it must have slipped out. And I'm sure it slipped out on you. I cannot believe it. I'm so ashamed. I promised myself I would never do that. Going back to 1984 at that little radio station you saw, that I would never blaspheme. What is blasphemy? It's saying Jesus Christ and GD. G damn it. Don't do it. It grieves the spirit inside you, and murder, the Bible says you can be forgiven for, but not blasphemy. Don't do it. Okay. Let's do we have any other images? Hope you folks are enjoying. Oh, that's my friend Billy Corgan and the band Smashing Pumpkins just did a big show in Mexico City. I was supposed to do a documentary about it for News Nation. We couldn't put it together in time, but maybe in the future I will do a documentary with my friend Billy Corgan, who is just the greatest. God, he's just a genius. New 5-album set called Adam, and it's just a masterpiece. And if you know me, If you listen to the show, you know that I maybe I wasn't the biggest fan. We had our battles, and the guy's won my respect, and I love him like more than a brother. Ted Nugent called me and said, "Hey, I got 2 cars from your brother." I said, "I wouldn't buy a cup of coffee from him." So I love this guy more than my brother. Anyway, it was a blockbuster show, and there were some bootleg shirts. I hope he got me one. The Mexican people had put together a picture of a cheap vampire set of teeth, like we had when we were kids, plastic. And it said, "Mexico City, the world is a vampire." And I'm like, "Billy, you got to get me one of those." He said he would. I hope he did. Okay, there you go. Yes, it's true, folks. The majority of scientists agree. The majority of scientists agree with those that fund them. Get the shot. Get it. Get them all. Collect them all. Get your punch card. Good burger. Good burger. Ooh, this is a good burger. Get it. Get it. Get it. All right, let's do the show intro, and then we're going to bring on my favorite guest. Love this guy. Good folks out there watching. Our numbers are going up. We appreciate it. Please spread the word. We have been banned. I don't know why they call it shadow banning. We've been playing banned. Let's bring up Timothy Alberino. Timothy, I've become your PR agent. They come to me about a TV show and I say no, but I'll tell you the guy that needs a TV show is Timothy Alberino. They come to me about a podcast or radio show. No, the guy you need to get is Timothy Alberino, the most fascinating human being on earth. Timothy Alberino, Timothy, Peru. I was supposed to go with you, and it sold out.
Well, I think you're probably the most fascinating human being on planet Earth, Mancow.
Yeah,
that trip sold out in just under 2 days. So we got a lot of excitement. We're going to Cusco in June.
Well, look, the truth is that I've been preaching and doing TV in Japan, and I'm probably going to be in Japan then, and I couldn't. I kind of committed. Do you know when the next one will be? Because I want to be part of one of these swashbuckling adventures with you. Timothy Alberino is a modern day Indiana Jones. Timothy, do you have the book you can hold up? You have the book handy? Yeah.
I've got a very battered copy of my book.
That's great. That's great. If you haven't read this book, you gave me dozens. I bought dozens and I've given them out. The book is Birthright. It did well.
It did very well. Still doing well.
Yeah. Okay. So, boy, that book just came out of nowhere. There was another book I read at the same time called Strange Scenes in the Canyon, which was about the Doors and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and their connection to the military-industrial complex and Satanism and everything else. Two books bam, 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 great books. And as you know, I just consume books. I love hard books. I love hardback books. I love books. Okay. So Spielberg says they're time travelers. That's one theory he has. I've heard that theory my whole life. These UFOs, these people visiting. Let's start there.
Okay. Well, I don't think there's any evidence whatsoever that. And by the way, who's he talking about when he says they? Who the heck is he talking about?
These UFOs. These UFOs that we're seeing, that these are people, these are time travelers from the future of the planet that are coming back to check us out.
Well, Steven Spielberg knows very well that a lot of these UFOs are occupied by what we call gray aliens, the little gray guys with the big bulbous heads and the black eyes. He knows that. He's extremely interested in it. He has, by the way, Steven Spielberg has a museum with alien implants in it. He collects them.
I know about this.
Yeah, so he knows. I mean, Spielberg knows. Now, this whole thing about time travelers, I mean, there's no evidence whatsoever that the gray aliens, for example, are time travelers. We know basically what they're up to because of the great work in the abduction, the great work that's been done regarding the abduction phenomenon.
You and I have a friend, my very dear friend, and I introduced him to you guys have become friends. Robert Fleischman, who wrote Wheel in the Sky 45 years ago, and some of the other big Journey hits. He wrote their greatest album, and he was their lead singer, and he's been abducted his whole life. And right. He also has implants that move. Mm-hmm. This is a man of no bullshit. This is a man that has refused to talk to me about it, really, publicly. William Corrigan, Billy Corrigan of the Smashing Pumpkins, has told me some things. He's gone public. Otherwise, I would not be here talking about them. I want you to know I don't betray confidences. But And I had an encounter as a kid. I mean, we had something that hovered over the neighborhood that I can't explain. They said it was a weather balloon. It was not. So are we shooting down weather balloons? What are we shooting down, Timothy?
Well,
Are they're what, Chinese?
well, the
spy
first balloon
blimps?
that we shot down was clearly a Chinese spy balloon. The Chinese government admitted it was their balloon, although they didn't admit that it was a spy balloon. They said it was some sort of a science experiment or something, collecting data.
Mhm.
But the other balloons we shot down appear to have been, and this is why the media has gone silent about it, by the way. You notice that they just dropped it?
Yeah, what happened?
Well, because we were shooting down Hobby Lobby balloons with $500,000 missiles.
Yeah, that's right.
We were scrambling F-22s. Every time we scramble one of those, it probably cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, up
And
to
then
$700,000.
That's right. And then we were
Yeah.
shooting down Hobby Lobby balloons. That's what we were doing.
Do you know
And they
those
were-
balloons? Those I think maybe the greatest show that was ever on TV. Have you ever seen The Prisoner with Patrick McGowan?
No.
Have you heard of it?
Nope.
You're a young guy. It was a very prophetic show. I'll talk to you about it off the air sometime, but a lot of people watching us will know about The Prisoner with Patrick McGowan, and the enemy was called Rover, and it was one of those balloons. Anyway, if you knew the show, this is great talk. If you don't, it's boring as hell. So let's move on. So they're not shooting down UFOs. UFOs are not going to. They're not going to be hit by one of our missiles. These things are so advanced, right?
We have, well, let's take the incident that everybody knows about, the Nimitz incident, which broke in 2017 because the New York Times published a piece on it. And in that piece, they embedded a video that was from an F-18 Hornet, and they captured the so-called Tic Tac UFO. They captured it on the gunship of the Hornet, so they were able to lock onto this thing. So they know exactly how fast this object was moving, and it was moving at incredible speeds. And everybody thinks we call it the Tic Tac, right? But it wasn't a Tic Tac. It was a typical saucer. It was a saucer. It was a flying saucer. And by the way, it was flying in the Delta formation, just like the Delta configuration, just like Bob Lazar said. I absolutely believe that Bob Lazar's testimony is true. And
who's Bob Lazar?
Well, that's a rabbit hole there. You're gonna have to.
Okay.
I'll send you his book.
Who? I interviewed this guy, but I just want to ask because someone called a Stitchin. This guy Stitchin. Who is that?
You
Quickly.
mean Sitchin?
Yeah, Sitchin.
Zechariah Sitchin?
Yeah, who
Zechariah
was it?
Sitchin was an ancient language, I believe he was an expert in ancient Near Eastern languages, and he did some translations of the Sumerian cylinder seals. He's the one who came up with the whole Anunnaki cult at this point, but this idea that there's a planet Nibiru that comes close to the Earth every so many thousands of years. I know for a fact that some of Sitchin's translations were erroneous. They were not good.
Yeah.
And
right.
so he created sort of a mythology. I believe some of what Sitchin said. I think he got some of the material correct, but it was such a bad translation that his conclusions can't be trusted.
So,
and I got that from a better, comes from a better ancient Near Eastern language expert than Sitchin.
I came to think that of him as well, that he was full of shit on a lot of it. But, I have friends that still are big followers, like Robert I was just talking about. Jim Mars, did you know him? He was a dear friend of mine, ruled by secrecy.
I didn't know Jim, but I really liked Jim Mars. I thought he was a spectacular investigator, very smart guy. He was sort of an old school investigator, researcher. I read some of his books. Brilliant guy. Really
Ruled by Secrecy is really kind of a Bible of this kind of thing, if you want to. And then he did a book. When my book came out, I saw that there was a warehouse filled with his books on 9/11 that I told you about.
Yep.
And I said, I love it. I talk to this guy every week. He's one of my best friends. I can't wait. They said, no, we're going to pulp those books. So whatever he said on 9/11, they pulped. And then, did you know Aaron Russo? Did you know this guy was a big Hollywood producer? Did you know him?
I know of him, yeah.
So he wanted me to quit everything. He was going to pay me well and come expose what has been exposed now. He thought that was my calling. And I said, Aaron, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I have a new family, and I don't want to travel the world with you exposing all of this and to get killed. We see what they've done to people like Jones and others that maybe don't have it right all the time, but they will. Well, look what they've done to me. 2 million to 2 people, to 177,000 to, I mean, you know how, you and I've talked about it. You've witnessed the bane that goes on with me. And I'm certainly not the most.
At the very least, hundreds of thousands of views on each one of these podcasts.
The ratings bear it out, but whatever. I don't care. This I'm doing for fun. The other stuff I did for fun, and I got paid. But Aaron Russo was a big movie producer. Can you look up what movie he produced? I think he did the Lethal Weapon movies, but big producer.
Yep.
And he was good friends with the Rockefellers, and he talked about how the Rockefellers said feminism is all about getting half the population that wasn't involved in the workforce to pay taxes, and also to get mothers away from their children. This is what Aaron Russo claimed, not Mancow, but this is what he told me. And there's hundreds of things that he told me like this that came out to be true. But he said, feminism is about getting women out of the home because, kids that have parents have ideas that may go against the state. Like there's something more powerful than Biden, and that's God. That's why they also attack God like they do. There's something more powerful than the state. That's your family. And of course, they don't like that. So, all right. Well, we got off the topic. More UFO talk than ever before. This is your area of expertise. Yeah, go ahead. What do you want to say?
Well, let me conclude. I was saying about the Nimitz incident. That Tic Tac UFO that they captured. The Pentagon admitted that it was real, and then it came out with a series of other sightings that it admitted were also real. Of course, the New York Times blew this whistle in 2017. The Nimitz incident, I think happened in 2013. So the cat's out of the bag. The Pentagon has framed the UFO phenomenon. They've changed the terminology, but the phenomenon is now framed within the context of a national security threat. That is the context. After the New York Times broke that story, there's a new committee in Congress that's allegedly looking into UFOs. I don't
Timothy,
expect much
where are they from? Do you know?
Well, there's any number of theories, but I do know, and I will say this, matter of fact, I know that the gray aliens are real. The gray aliens are absolutely real. They're not the only faction in play, but they are certainly one of the primary factions in play. So the little gray guys, 3 to 4 feet tall, with the big almond-shaped eyes, the big bulbous heads, which, by the way, abducted Fleischman and on many occasions.
Yeah, and I also have family members that were abducted, and they tell these stories. And I remember a guy named Mike Murphy when I was a kid on KCMO in Kansas City. Yeah,
Robert's such
very common. And then so
man.
they seem like little automatons. They seem like little robots. They're very mechanical the way they act. They just go about their business. They deal with us like a vet deals with a dog. They just work on us. They don't care. And then there always seems to be something that's more sinister and bigger that's controlling them. You've heard that, right? The mantis or whatever those are.
Right.
What do you call those?
Well, they call them the mantis beings, or Dr. Jacobs calls them the insectolins.
What do they look like?
Well, as sci-fi as it sounds, those things are reported almost as commonly as the grays. And they're sort of the managers of the abduction program. They're the managers of the breeding program, and they look like, something approximating a praying mantis. I mean, not exactly that, but they have those. They have the big almond-shaped eyes. Their heads are more insect-like than the grays. They seem to be wholly exotic,
like Brack.
Exactly.
From Space Ghost.
Space Ghost I am familiar with.
Okay, so do you think they're from another planet? Do you think they're from another dimension? Do you think they're demons?
No, we've
covered this before.
Well, the first one probably. I mean, there's some credence maybe that they come from the inner Earth as well, but I think that they come from a different planet. I don't think there's any problem with that whatsoever. There's no, these scientists go on these talk shows and say, well, it's impossible for an alien life form to reach the Earth from a different solar system or something because of basically outdated science is what they go on to propagate. It's not a problem. These guys are using matter antimatter reactors. I think that they can open up Einstein-Rosen bridges, in other words, wormholes, and travel through wormholes. If you can generate enough energy to open a wormhole, to sustain a wormhole and travel through it, then you can pretty much go anywhere you want. That's what we're doing in CERN, right? That's what CERN is all about. I don't know exactly what they're doing at CERN. I've been to CERN, by the way. Yeah. It's very boring.
You and I've talked about this.
Yeah, but they're certainly trying to find evidence of another dimension, but that doesn't necessarily mean another world. It just means another spatial dimension.
Isn't the hydrogen collider trying to make a wormhole?
I don't think they're trying to make one, but they've said that they could accidentally make one. They've admitted that. I don't think so. I think that's a lot of hyperbole, honestly.
Do you believe that there's another realm of angels and demons around us, another dimension that we can't see?
We can't see another dimension. Our brain is only able to think in 3 spatial dimensions plus time. It's literally impossible for us to conceive of anything more than 3 dimensions of spatial dimensions plus 1 of time.
But we know there's more. We know there are other dimensions.
Which, sure. String theory,
Yeah.
which I tentatively subscribe to string theory, postulates that there are at least 10 dimensions. It only works in 10 dimensions. And some people say superstring theory, 11 dimensions or more. But understand, these are not separate worlds. These are not like walking through the wardrobe and entering the land of Narnia. These are spatial dimensions, which is a big deal because it means that there's parts of the natural world that we inhabit that we can't perceive. So that's important. But, I've never seen another dimension. There's no hard proof that there is another.
You in the quantum universe now, Ant-Man.
Right, the quantum universe. And that movie was terrible, by the way.
Oh, you saw it?
I did the other day.
So how bad is the Kang character? Because he was a stud.
I didn't even know who that character was, but I looked him up afterward, and it was just another woke.
That's woke bullshit.
Destruction,
and they've got him for the next. They've got him for the next 10 movies. You heard what I said?
Very boring.
Yeah,
he was a very boring anti-hero, a very boring villain. Like put you to sleep, boring.
And we're going to have him for the next 10 movies because doggone it, you're going to be educated, you're going to be woke, and all those things you love, those comic books you loved as a kid, and you're Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. F it all. We're going to destroy it all. That's what we're getting from Feig and the rest of these.
And if you don't like it, you're racist.
Yeah, that's right. Aaron Russo, by the way, who I mentioned, did Trading Places and a lot of Eddie Murphy movies and stuff, and had a lot of money and wanted to expose the evil that's being hoisted upon us right now. All right. Okay. So you don't think we're shooting down UFOs? No. Why are they?
These UFOs, for example, the one that they captured on the gunship camera, the Nimitz incident, there is no way they couldn't catch that thing with our fastest air jets. They couldn't even come close to catching that thing, let alone shooting at it. We've had UFOs, saucers specifically, hovering over some of our most secretive military installations, and the military can do absolutely nothing about it. We've had saucers hovering over our nuclear silos and deactivating them. It happened here in Montana. There's several cases of it. So you're going to tell me that we can go out there with Sidewinder missiles and shoot these things out of the sky?
No, I'm not going to tell you that.
No way.
I don't believe it either. So why? Why are we hearing so much about UFOs right now? Are they getting us ready for are they getting us ready for the rapture?
No.
Are they going to explain supernatural things with it being UFOs?
I don't think so. The government is, when I say the government, mind you, when we talk about the Pentagon, there's a very small percentage of people who work at the Pentagon who know anything about the phenomenon, about the UFO phenomenon. It's just a handful of people. All of this information, all of the real information, the reverse engineering and all of that is happening in deep underground military bases, and it's happening under the auspices of military contractors, private contractors like Lockheed Martin.
What do they want? Why?
Well, because you can't FOIA request Lockheed Martin. You can issue a FOIA request to the Pentagon for just about anything, but what's done by private companies, the American people don't have the right to know.
What are they working on?
They're reverse engineering crash retrievals. We're getting technology. Who knows what kind of technology? Some people believe that fiber optics was derived from reverse engineering microchips from reverse engineering materials off of crash retrievals. The late General Philip Corso, who I believe, and so do many good ufologists, believe that Corso was telling the truth. By the way, Corso has a book out there. I think it's called The Day After Roswell. He died some years ago. But he was a high-ranking general, and I read that book. And he wrote a book called The Day After Roswell, which he admitted that he had to put some disinfo in there in order to protect himself. But then he released a manuscript before he died. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Where do they get the UFOs, Timothy?
Who? The government?
Yeah. Where do they get these UFOs?
Crash retrievals. They crash sometimes. And how many? We have high energy. We have secretive high energy weapons. I think that we can have some success, limited success, in maybe bringing down some of these UFOs.
Are they nefarious or are they Taurus or are they nefarious? Are they evil?
Well, they're nefarious, but understand that I think you're very well aware of my perspective. I think that the good guys and the bad guys are flying around in advanced aerospace vehicles. That's what these things are. They're just advanced technology. So these entities that we call angels from the biblical narrative are also flying around these advanced aerospace vehicles. And I could, there's many reasons, many verses I could cite from the biblical narrative that prove that these guys are
But you're a
traversing the
believer.
skies.
You're a believer.
I am, very much so.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
So I've never
thought that science.
The cat is
needs
out
to
of the
discount
bag.
God,
The government has admitted that UFOs are real and that they constitute a national security threat. We're way beyond the controversy at this point. That's just where we are. UFOs are real and they constitute a national security threat.
This trip you're going on. I never did make my big point, which I want to make before we say goodbye. But this trip, what's the best that could happen? What are you exploring?
We're going to explore the megaliths of Peru, which are some of the most stunning, magnificent stone structures on planet Earth. I mean, you're talking about exquisite masonry. Probably, I think the finest masonry in the world is in Ollantaytambo, and so we're going to explore the Sacsayhuaman in Cusco, Ollantaytambo. And then the foundations of Machu Picchu, which a lot of people don't realize, the foundations of Machu Picchu are megalithic. And the name of Machu Picchu, the Quechua name, is Ijampu, which means the abode of the gods. So I think that the Inca found that site, found the megaliths there, the foundations of these massive buildings, and concluded that the gods must have built this place, and then they built on top of it. And that's what we have today in Machu Picchu.
How long's the trip?
It's 5 days. 5 days from beginning to.
I want to be on this one. I'll hopefully be on the next one. Anything in the last week or so breaking that you think is big news?
Well, I'll tell you what I think is some of the biggest news that's not being covered, except by Tucker Carlson, and that is that. Look, I was on an airplane the other day. I was in Chicago, your neck of the woods. Sitting on an airplane. It was just a layover. It was just a connecting flight. So
My feelings were about to get hurt.
I was thinking of you though, Mancow, looking out the window on my airplane as I was sitting on the
looking out of Chicago, thinking, "What a shithole! Why does he live here? What a dump!"
Well, actually, it was something like that. I was sitting on my airplane on the tarmac for an hour and a half. Why?
But it's just one group of people. I'm just telling you, it's just one group of people that's the problem.
I actually really like
and I'm talking about the thieves and killers and the rapists.
I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I went to Chicago on numerous occasions. Only a 5-hour drive from Cleveland, and I like Chicago a lot better than Cleveland, Ohio. But
how do you feel about the chemical warfare of Ohio? Isn't that great? And they're giggling about it.
Well, listen, I was sitting on the tarmac in Chicago, and all the airplanes. All the system, the weighing system, whatever that is, but before you can take off, you have to get the okay from the tower based on your weight and everything else. That went down. All the planes were sitting on the tarmac for an hour and a half. So I think the real story, you asked me what the biggest story here. I think the biggest story is the one that's not being reported. We are under attack. There's sabotage operations happening in this country. And where are all of these saboteurs coming from? How about the southern border that's freaking wide open? They're just pouring in. We could have Iranians, Russians, Chinese.
We can't have the world's number one tennis player come, right? The world's number one tennis player can't come to America, but he could walk across into Mexico unvaxxed and do whatever the heck he wants.
Precisely. But look at everything that's happening. We're having frequent train derailments. We're having food processing plants burning ground metal.
Edge. America's mayor is there. Did you see him when somebody asked him a question and he said, I want to take your picture. Yeah. Who are you? I want to take your picture. Sinister little.
He is. Yeah. He is a sinister little man. Yeah. I mean, look at all the things that are happening in this country. Well, airlines they're being down for an entire day. Remember the other month, the airlines were down for an entire day. This is sabotage. America's under attack, and they're not saying anything about it.
It's third world because the answer will be communism. That's third world. And by the way, the people that are helping them will be the first ones they kill.
That's right.
And the LeBron James of the world, I've been to China several times. Boy, they can't wait to dispose of a guy like LeBron James and those like him. They have a hatred that you can't even fathom. But for enough money. You have no idea, folks. Like nothing you've ever encountered in America, like nothing you can imagine. And I want to tell you, we are in a war, and it's hard for us to picture this, guys, what he's saying, the release of the chemicals, everything else. We're talking about ethics. I was brought up in a Christian home. Timothy was as well. brought up in a Christian country, although they've tried to deny that now. It's, of course, bullshit. We are a Christian country. And right and wrong. But know that these people have no right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. And there's nothing that they won't do. There's nobody that they won't kill to get their way. We are under attack mentally. You got to pray for clarity. Sometimes you just got to turn it all off. Maybe even this, if it becomes overwhelming. Don't lose yourself in the wormhole. And I'm reminded of my friend Barson. It comes to me all the time. I say, dude, you're going crazy. He goes, well, have you looked around? Aren't you going crazy because you're not going crazy? And I went, yeah. If you feel like you're going crazy, like, why is it okay for pedos to talk to kids? I know it has not been signed yet, but I know they're trying to make it so that you don't have to register for a sex. Yep. You don't have to have sex registry if you have sex with someone within 10 years of your age.
Yep.
And that's starting in California. And this is, look, the Epsteins of the world and all his buddies, they want pedophilia. Like either in the royal family and a lot of our elites, they want pedophilia. They're really big into it. And it has a lot more to do with sex, but that's a whole nother show, right? The satanic endocrine connection, all of that. But California, did it pass legislation, Timothy, so that you can have sex? So if you're 10, you could have sex with a 1-year-older, or you're 13, you could have sex with a 3-year-older, and there would be no repercussions.
I'm not sure if it passed, but that demonstrates just how degenerate these people are.
It's on its way to Newscomb. It's on its way to Newscomb.
Yeah, well,
that's where it's at.
If that's the case.
And all of this madness, Timothy, I mean, you're younger than me, but all this madness, all this stuff, and everything, all of it has come true. All of it. Everything I said. And no one's ever come to me and said, Mancow, you're right. And by the way, how about everything I said about, you know what? I can't say it still, but was I right all along? Oh, so I'm going to make my final point and then we'll say goodbye, Timothy. Have I given you short shift? You feel happy?
I feel very happy.
Okay. I want to make sure I've given you enough time. I know I've gotten you a lot of shows where they've given you multiple hours. My attention span's too short to spend multiple hours talking to you or anyone else, frankly. Jesus or Elvis comes back, I'll talk to them for a couple hours here. Okay. So do you know this guy Chase or Tate or whatever his name is, Tate? This Muslim guy?
Or is that his name?
What?
Yeah, Tate, the guy that got arrested in some Eastern
you like
European
him?
country.
You like him?
I don't really know much about him. He's very arrogant and he's off-putting.
Yeah, I don't like him. And my spidey sense. I know immediately. Do you like who's the other guy I mentioned? Jordan Peterson. You like him?
I do like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. I know I'm supposed to like him, and I do like some of what he says. What about Ben Shapiro? You like him?
I don't really listen to Ben. I don't know much about
it's
him.
It's all pre-written for him.
Yeah.
I think. I've heard. I'm not a fan. But, I'm sure you have it. You have to like this person. You have to like him. Elon Musk, I like 90% of them. Joe Rogan, you have to listen. No, I really don't. I kind of like doing my own thing and listening to what I want to listen to. So there's a setup for all this, and it's a long setup. Here it is. It's been years since I saw, Hannity is, Levin has been nothing but wonderful to me, but it's a little slow moving for me. My mind clicks along at a faster pace than some of these people. Maybe their audiences are stupid. I don't know, or slow.
Did you like Rush Limbaugh?
Yeah, Rush was a friend. Rush wanted to induct me into the Radio Hall of Fame.
I like Rush Limbaugh a lot. I really like him, and I really miss hearing him on the radio.
We basically evolved in the same pond of Central Missouri. I'm from Suicide Falls, Missouri. But the slowness and the stupidity of some of this stuff. But no, Rush and George Brett were going to induct me to the Radio Hall of Fame here in Chicago. But of course, it was set up by and encouraged by, and there was a guy that had a problem. He liked pictures of. He went to jail for some things that I can't discuss here, but a real creep, and I called him out. So I'm a shoe-in to get in. But then again, I called out some really sick shit. And that's it.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting when you realize that at the top of the entertainment and even in government circles, you got literally pedophiles who fantasize and do more than fantasize about having sexual relationships with children. That's what we got in this country, running so many of our institutions.
Yeah. And that's why they're pushing the agenda in schools, and that's why everything else they're pushing in the story times and all this stuff. So I'm still getting to my big point here. And I want people to know, if I was left wing, I'd be celebrated. If I was right wing, I'd be celebrated. But when you're something other, wait, what? No, I can't. They can't. And I just remember people on Fox that were friends of mine that I worked with when Obama did the exact same thing that a Bush did. Bad, Obama, bad. Wait a minute. But it was okay when George W. Bush did it. You're not intellectually honest. Party first people I've never liked. Reminds me too much of Nazis. And I'm talking about the left and right. So anyway, I haven't been excited about anything or anybody for a long time. And I finally had somebody and something that I'm excited about. It's been a long time. Something in modern entertainment that excited me. And that was Russell Brand on Bill Maher.
I just saw that yesterday. That was phenomenal.
And that's me. That's where I'm at. And I was
thinker, not afraid to just speak your mind. Exactly.
But you see that he's not going to be held by one party or the other. He's look, there are things I like obviously more about the conservatives and the right wing than I do about, the communists, the liberals. But I mean, this guy, look, Big Pharma is not our friend. They make money from us being sick. Why is sugar subsidized? Why can't we have a bun or a burger or the meat, the bun, the tomato, everything is injected with sugar. Why? Everything. And soy. Why? Well, it gives you man tits and makes you a wimp. Look around.
Democrats and Republicans get all kinds of funding from Big Pharma. That's all you need to know. 2/3 of Congress gets funded by Big Pharma.
And I wonder why the networks pushed what they pushed.
Right.
Television, you are programmed. And so I just give them the big middle finger. And you can't do that. You can't do that. Not if you want to get rich.
Well, I think, there's some hope.
Thankfully, I made my bones.
The American people are beginning to wake up to Big Pharma slowly, but surely it's happening. I think it's finally happening because for so long, Big Pharma's just sort of been the man behind the curtain. Not anymore. I mean, a lot of people are thinking about Pfizer and Moderna, Johnson & Johnson now in a very negative light.
Someone very close to my family, a figurehead, I can't say, fully vaxxed in a bad way. Mr. Beef, the legendary Mr. Beef. Joey, friends with Joe Montana and Jay Leno. The Mr. Beef of Chicago, the legend, dead a few days ago, fully vaxxed. Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads, Barnes and Barnes, Robert Hamer, friend of mine for 30 years, spoke to him every single week. I spoke to all of these people every single week and fully vaxxed. I'm not saying there's a connection, but man, there's so much death around me, brother, and they're all up to date. They all got it. And
they're dropping like flies, unfortunately.
And again, I'm not saying there's any connection, but, cancers and sicknesses were gone. And then, bam! And you see what certain things do to cancers under the microscope. For instance, sugar.
Yep.
This was a man I met at William Shatner's house. His wife, Elizabeth, lost her husband to cancer. And this guy, they really loved a lot. And he talked about how, you put sugar on cancer cells. And, whoa!
Loads, yeah.
And boy, they are loading us with sugar
it's like
and everything.
Cocaine to cancer.
Yeah. And the other one is This is what he told me. And I don't know if it still has it in it. So I got to be careful. This is what this guy told me. I don't want to be sued, but I think he said coffee mate. But I think he lit it on fire or something. He said hydrogenated anything is cancer. Mm-hmm. Anything hydrogenated. And look at the stuff. Look at the stuff we're eating. By the way, so many of our foods are illegal everywhere.
I was just about to say, there's so much of what we produce in America you cannot sell in Europe.
Anyone that's been to another country and had KFC, why do they love KFC in other countries? Because it's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Our KFC is soaked. Our chickens are soaked. And I think they're soaked for about 7 days. That happened during the Carter administration. Soaked and it's more, it's wet and it's the chicken in other countries has the consistency more of steak. It's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It's not here. And yes, was I reading Mountain Dew and some of these sports drinks have certain chemicals in them that are illegal elsewhere. But you got my point, right? About all these people that I get the Tate videos, the Jordan Peterson videos. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. I mean, I know you're not Mancow, Timothy, but I'm you got to watch this. And I never liked Mitch McConnell, and I never liked any of those other suck boys. I never liked any of these other rhinos. They can shove it. But I finally saw somebody that thinks like me, at least for that moment. And I know he's got some creepy stuff. He did heroin when he was married to Katy Perry. He was rubbing people off in bathrooms and stuff. I think, right, there's some creepy stuff about this
Yeah, but
this guy. Got to be careful. But at that
reformed.
moment, he's reformed. But at that moment on Bill Maher, wow. Finally.
Well, a lot of these, a lot of these traditional leftists have had an awakening.
I'm talking about Russell Brand, guys. Go ahead.
A lot of these traditional leftists have gone through an awakening, and they're realizing now that they need to detach from that paradigm, the leftist paradigm.
Well, Maher's a free speech guy, and he is a free speech guy. I don't agree with him, but he is pro free speech. And I actually stuck up for a bunch of people that hated my guts, and I would stick up for anyone for free speech. We have to keep America free. So. Even though they didn't want me to, they don't want me to have my free speech, but I would fight and die for them to have free speech. I'm sure Bill Maher would have no problem saying, F man, ban him, silence him, get rid of him. What do they call it? Cancel him. But I don't believe in that, and I can't. Do you know Confucius lived to be 72, Timothy Alberino? Hold up the book one more time. Folks. Have you ever read this book? What's the Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. What's the subtitle? So Birthright, Timothy Alberino, Birthright. What's the line? Give me the line.
The coming posthuman apocalypse and the usurpation of Adam's dominion on planet Earth.
Give me 10 seconds, Timothy. What is the book? What is the book?
What's the book about in 10 seconds?
No, we've covered this over and over. This is the 20th time you've been on the show. Just quickly, what is the book? This is what I tell people. To me, it's you take the Bible and UFOs and the modern world and you line them up and how they connect.
And transhumanism and the occult and Genesis 6. What is the purpose of mankind? Why is it important to preserve our humanity? Remember at my conference, which you spoke at, it was phenomenal. Your talk was hilarious. But
can people get that talk? Can people get that talk? Did you put it anywhere? Did you post it anywhere?
Good point. They can get it at on Vimeo. Birthright Conference.
Conference, and
Birthright
I talked
on Vimeo. Yeah, they can watch all of our talks, including yours. And remember the two questions, and this is the most important thing. The two questions I asked in my presentation, which was, what does it mean to be a human being, and is our humanity worth preserving? That's what my book's about.
I wonder if Nudie ever found a picture of the Greys or the Mantis to put up. And no. Okay. All right. Well, you heard me tell him, but he was probably, looking at internet porn or something. Who knows what that guy does when we're there talking. You're a good-looking man, Timothy. He might have been enjoying you. Timothy. All right. Timothy, thank you.
Thank you, Mancow.
And Confucius. Yeah, man. I love this guy. He's the best. So Confucius, and if I take over for Art Bell, which is something we've been talking about, you'll be my co-host. But as long as you want to wake up. Where was I? Oh yeah. So Confucius, the great philosopher, which the Japanese still abide by much of what he said, and the Chinese, of course, still do as well, lived to be 72. And do you know that in his entire life, 72 years, he never said thank you. He never said thank you. And remember, a grateful heart is always close to God. Remember to say thank you to people. But he didn't say thank you because he didn't speak English. Good night.